What is up, internet? Welcome back to Milehighkei, America's loneliest K-car channel. I'm out here about to work on a little project on the van. Recently out of work temporarily due to the coronavirus, so might as well be productive and get something done that I've been putting off for a really long time, which is the stereo. Let's take a look inside the van here. A while ago, I took out the stock head unit, which is AM only, and replaced it with this one, which is out of a 93 Civic. I did have to do quite a bit of trimming and adjustment to make it fit because the head unit, which is right here, is much smaller than the one that I put in there. So I will put that footage in here right now. Got the head unit put back together, and we're going to see if it fits all the way in, to see if I can get this 16-pin plug for this, and I'll be able to wire it later. Let's see how our work paid off. Awesome. You kind of get the idea. I had to trim the sides of the plastic in order to make it fit. I never got around to actually wiring it. That is going to be my project for today. And it should be fairly simple. In the Acty, in the base model, at least, there's only one speaker. And that speaker is on the passenger side. And there is a spot right here for a speaker, but there's nothing in there. As you can see right here, there's no wiring going into the body right there. For now, since I don't have an extra speaker, I'm just gonna set this up to run that one and just make sure everything connects from here to there, and then I'll run the wires to here. So when I get another speaker in the near future, I'll be able to just wire it up real quick and we'll be good to go. So this is what I'm gonna be dealing with to match up the old wiring harness with the new one. So this is a plug that goes into the back of the stereo from the Honda Civic, and as you can see, there's a lot more wires than on here. For the old head unit, it's very basic because it just needs power, ground, and then positive and negative for the one passenger side speaker. So I just have to make sure that I get the power and ground to match up with here, and then the positive and negative for the passenger side speaker. And then from there I have a little cheat sheet for the wiring harness out of the Civic. So the first thing that we really have to do is take the passenger side door card out, which is pretty easy. I just need to remove this handle, that handle, this screw from behind the door handle, and then there's clips behind that you just have to carefully pry off. So I will get to that, and then we'll pull this out. It's just kind of sitting in there, so we'll be able to get to the existing wiring harness, and we'll be able to get this show on the road. Also, I'm sorry if the video quality is kind of inconsistent. I just got this new camera, so I'm figuring out all the quirks on it. I can't seem to figure out the autofocus, so if I'm blurry, my bad. At least it's better than a GoPro 3. So let's get to it. Alright, so long story short, I got the window crank off. It took me a little bit and I lost the clip on the ground, so I didn't get to film it, but right now I'm just about to start carefully prying up all the little clips that are behind the door card. And I also forgot to mention that there's two Phillips head screws that are right here that go up against the dash. So I'm going to start prying these off and then we'll have access to the speaker. I don't really need to do this, but I do want to replace this eventually, so I want to see how deep the actual speaker is, so the new ones that I get fit and I don't have to do any cutting or anything like that. So gonna get back to it and we'll see if we can pop it off. So here's the speaker taken off. It is a 4-inch speaker, and there's actually a lot more room behind there than I thought. Let's roll down the window and we'll see. Okay, so that is our limiting factor, is how deep that goes. So it looks like there's a good amount of clearance behind here. I'll get my tape measure and measure from the window to this front plate, and then we'll see where it fits. There is like a little bit of room obviously in front, which is probably why there's this like little plastic spacer to give it a little clearance and to fill out that little speaker hole in the door card. So what I really wanted to know is which wires were which. So it looks like there's a gray wire with a black stripe and a blue wire with a green stripe. So now we'll be able to trace that back into the dash and behind where the stereo is, and we'll be able to determine which is the positive and the negative signal from there. Alright, so I did a little bit of digging on the internet and I just wanted to make sure that this was as accurate as possible if you're trying to adapt a Honda Civic stereo into your Acty. Here's what I got for the wiring. So, of course, black is going to go to your ground, and then these wires are going to be for the rear speakers. I'm not going to be adding rear speakers quite yet, so I'm just going to disregard these for the moment, but the green wires are for the left rear and the purple wires are for the right rear. The ones that I am going to be worrying about are these gray and white wires. The gray wires go to the right speaker, which in our case is the driver's side. And as I said before, the base model Acty does not come with a driver's side speaker, so I'm going to be adding that in later. I'm just going to be ordering some 4-inch speakers off of Amazon. And then these are the wires that we're going to be worried about today. These wires go to the left front speakers, so this is the positive and the negative. And the orange wire with the white stripe goes to the dimmer. So I'm going to connect this to the wire that my tachometer light is connected to. So when you turn on the lights, it knows that it's dark out, and that will send power to the dimmer, and that'll make it so the lights on the stereo aren't super bright. And then of course red is for switch on power, so when you turn the key to accessory or on, that is when the stereo is on. So when you turn it off, the stereo powers off. The yellow wire is the constant wire to the battery, and my cigarette outlet, which has my phone charger in it, it is always connected to the battery. So I'm going to connect the constant to the positive terminal on the cigarette lighter, and that will give me constant power, and that is for the memory on the radio, so it saves all your presets, and it's the battery backup. And then the blue wire, we are going to disregard it because this goes to the power antenna. If you have an Acty, you know that you don't have a power antenna, so you don't need to worry about that. It's going to be pretty straightforward. I just have to get to snipping some wires, soldering, all that sort of stuff. So I'm going to put y'all on a time lapse and see if I can figure out what I'm doing. Let's get to it. Alright, as you saw in that time lapse, I'm making pretty good progress. So it's kind of hard to work inside the little stereo slot. So far, I just have the power, the ground, left speaker positive and negative connected. And right now I'm about to connect the battery constant. I wired up the right speaker positive and negative. For now, I'm just going to have a big long thing hiding underneath the dash. I'll just coil it up and put it back here, and then it'll be easy to just slide the stereo head unit out and run those wires over there as soon as I get the speakers. I'm gonna do some more cutting, soldering, and heat shrinking, and then I will update you in a couple minutes. So thanks for sticking around, and let's finish this up. Alright, so just a couple little things I wanted to touch base on. When you're putting the door card back in, you might get the weather stripping stuck right around where the lock is. There's an extra piece of sheet metal that is holding like the lip of the window together, and the plastic can get stuck on it. So what I did is I just put a clothes hanger behind there when the windows rolled all the way down, and then you can pull out on the plastic and then gently slide it in. So I did some looking on the internet, and I found out that whenever a Honda radio is disconnected from the battery, you have to enter the code for the radio to unlock the radio. There's a code written on the back, so this is my code. So now you just use the preset buttons to enter the code, and then it will unlock the radio. So I pulled it out and disconnected it from the battery. So anytime it doesn't see power, you're gonna have to enter the code and unlock the system. So just gonna plug everything back in, set it in there temporarily, turn the car on, and now we put on power, and you see that the code is popping up. So I just have to enter in my code, which is 56246. Beeps. And the radio works. Pretty cool. Alright, so that's going to be it for this video. It was a pretty straightforward job, but it took me a little bit because it's my first time really wiring in a stereo, and it was just a little bit of a learning curve entering the code in for the radio. I did not know that, but now I'll be able to take that into consideration if I ever decide to change the stereo on the van again. And now it's just a waiting game on when I can get some new speakers, and then maybe even I'll put some more speakers in the back of the car just to make the sound a little bit better, and maybe I can make some like boxes for them, or I don't know. We'll figure that out when we get there. But thanks again for watching, and remember, keep it small.